Hey everybody, happy Monday night. I decided to start doing this from my car because my daughter has gymnastics and I have time to kill. And I thought it would be a good idea to start doing this up again. I had a lot of fun doing it with you guys on Tuesdays. I guess it was pretty much last year, but now we're back. Hopefully I can try to keep this on a regular schedule for you too. I think this would be fun for us to meet up, and if you missed this, I think I'm probably going to end up turning this into a podcast anyways. But speaking of podcast, I hope you guys had a chance to listen to it today. We had a new intro to it, a lot of quotes from some different trainers that I've had on in the past, kind of a montage of everything. So I hope it works. But I guess first things first, can you guys hear me okay? I'm just hoping, because I got a little mic here and I've just got it plugged into my phone, and I'm hoping it's going to work all right. So if somebody just gives me a thumbs up or, hey, I can hear you or something like that, well, there's one thumb up. That's great. Perfect. All right, look at everybody pipe in here. I got some of my my old crew here jumping in to say hi, which is great. Awesome. All right, so like I said, I hope you guys had a chance to listen to the podcast. It was the intro, and we're having some big changes going on at work here. Good, Sheila. Awesome. Some big changes going on at work with our board and trains. We're no longer doing a lot more one-on-one type training and working with the client, slowing things down as usual. That's been my soapbox here for the past 6 months, I guess, of slowing down, and I'm sure the more I slow down, the more I'll end up slowing down. It's been interesting to see how it pertains to other things that I see in my life too, as far as like my daughter with gymnastics and how they teach her and going step by step, and breaking things down. Even when I'm showing somebody at work something different, whether it's a client or staff or whatever, it's interesting how you can really start to break the system down a little bit, break the steps down, so then kind of build it back up. But I'm happy about where we're going as far as a business and what we're offering people and the training and everything. It's been, and I mentioned this on the podcast, it's been kind of this weight that has slowly been lifting off my shoulders. It's not 100% gone, and I think that'll just take some time, but I'm excited for it because I think it'll help a lot of people around for sure. So as usual, I'm here to also answer any questions. Hopefully I can. If not, I'll point you in the right direction of anything that maybe's bugging you or been on your mind or anything along those lines. Like I said, I'm hoping to do this a little bit more regularly now. Yes, live from my car. It's not my basement like I used to do, but hey, it was a beautiful day and the sun's still shining over my shoulder here, so it's kind of, can't complain about that at all. Not at all. But for right now, maybe if you guys tell me where you're from, what state you're in, that's always a fun little game. And and we'll just kind of roll with it from there. Let's see, Sheila, so you listened to the podcast. So Sheila, I'd love to hear what you have to say about the intro, if you enjoyed it or not. Hester, who works for me in the office, helped me out with her radio experience, and I think we put together something pretty cool. I think, I don't know, I've listened to it over and over and over and over again. I think it's pretty neat. I hope I didn't lock up here. You guys still hear me okay? Because I haven't seen anything roll here, so I'm making sure. Sherry from Ohio. Sherry, what part of Ohio are you in? I've been in Cleveland and Columbus and south of Columbus and Maine, of course. Hey, Kelly. Good, you love the intro. That's great. And look, if you hated the intro, you can tell me too. So I don't want this just to be like a love fest here. Like if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. And that's perfectly okay. Absolutely. No doubt. But Ohio, huh? It's funny, growing up, I never thought I'd end up in Ohio, but it is what it is. So, fun times. Anyways, I'd kind of like to know what's been on your mind with your dog, West Central. I guess I don't know my geography that well of Ohio. Like Cincinnati, I guess. Kelly didn't like the old one. I know, and I felt like the old podcast intro was, and I think it had run its course. I think it was good for while it lasted, but I was ready for something new, without a doubt. Yes, I have listened to nearly all the podcasts and recognized some of the intro statements. Neighbor just spoke of enjoying it as well. That's great. Very cool. That's what I was hoping. California Regina. For real? What are you doing? Hell, so you are doing boarding, daycare, and consultations. Can all people board their dogs with you, or only those who have had consultations? Do you evaluate the dogs before boarding? Yes, we'll be evaluating the dogs before boarding, and only only dogs that are socially acceptable will be allowed to do daycare boarding with us, which means that the dogs that can come off leash within the group during the evaluation will be accepted in for daycare and boarding. If we don't feel like we are comfortable taking that dog off leash, then they will not be allowed into daycare and boarding, and we would obviously push them towards training, or at least let them know what's going on, probably even possibly videotape it so they can see what's going on with the dog's body language, whether they're stressed or anything like that, reactive. So I think the evaluations are good. They're also really good. I'm going to throw you guys a curveball. The evaluations are also really good for my staff, because this gives my staff an opportunity to learn from new dogs and myself as well. And that's always a good learning experience. When we get a new dog in, it's always, we're like sharks in the water with, when there's blood in the water, they're like, ooh, there's a new one here. Let's talk about the new one and what's going on with a new one. And that's always fun, because it's a conversation starter, and we chat about what we see, and we ask questions, and it's a fun time when it comes down to that. So Sherry, you're in Lima. Wow, I knew a golf pro out there one time. I don't know if he's still there or not, but yeah, God, we got a couple people from Maine in here, which is great. And California, Regina, man, that's crazy. What is it? It's only afternoon time for you out there. Yeah, so we're changing things around, and I don't know. I've started thinking about a lot lately, the last few months, about how clients that bring in their dogs for socializing, how they can be a part of that process, because even if we got that dog socially acceptable, they would never see it or how it happens, and I want them to be a part of that. I want them to be part of the transformation. Just to be able to help them out. I think that would be great. Rahel, do you have someone else you can point those clients to whose dogs are not a good fit for your setting? Yes, we've got a couple of different people that we can send people to, so it wouldn't be like a completely shut down thing. But I mean, if they're looking for daycare or boarding, we have an option. It's a little ways away from us. But I think I would also hope that they pursue some sort of training so we can sit down and actually work on the socializing, and I can teach them how to socialize their dog and how to do it correctly and what socializing actually means. Sometimes socializing just means two dogs going for a walk that never even sniff each other. Socializing can sometimes mean seeing one dog on the other side of a parking lot, one dog seeing another dog on the other side of the parking lot, and they go their separate directions. That can be socializing. Socializing is playing and walking around each other and being in a dog park and being at daycare and being around people. There's many different examples of socializing, and I want the owners and the clients that want to be a part of that to learn, so when they themselves are out in these dog parks, or they're in a daycare, outside of a daycare environment, whether they're at soccer games or paths or hiking trails, that they can recognize when and where their dog maybe is having a hard time, how to stick up for them, all that kind of stuff. And I'm hoping that these new programs that we offer, lessons with Serena and then consultations with myself, I'm hoping that we can really get down to the nitty gritty with some of our clients and show them this stuff. I know it's fascinating for me. Obviously, I'm going to be very passionate about it. But in the same instance, I want the clients that are going to be passionate about it too. I want the clients that are looking to learn about their dog. In some cases, there are times when there are people that just want the dog trained, and then you give them the finished product at home. It's like somebody says, hey, can you go get me a soda? You go to the refrigerator, you get a can, here's your finished product. They don't want to see how the soda was made and how the soda was canned. And that's a big difference. I want that client that wants to be a part of that process to be a part of the training. And like I said, the transformation that they have seen along the way. Jocelyn. Oh, and thanks, Kevin, for the "you're awesome" thing. Have you or your staff noticed any changes in Prada when she's at daycare? She's been exhibiting a few behaviors at home. Not sure if maybe it's just a sign of her age. Jocelyn, we haven't noticed anything really. I haven't. I'll check with everybody, but I haven't noticed anything huge lately, as far as like a complete 180 or a complete switch at all. But I'll certainly talk to everybody, and we'll see what we can come up with. But for a while, you guys, we were really pushing these board and trains for probably the past 3+ years, I guess you could say, somewhere in there. 13, 14. Yeah, probably 3+, maybe even 4 years. And they certainly worked for what we were doing, and we saw a lot of success with it, and that's great. But I think now it's time, as far as I continue to educate myself and I'm learning more and more and more about everything, I think it's that much more important for the owner to be a part of it. I think it's that much more important for the owner to be a part of the step-by-step process, and I want to be with them every step of the way. These 3 and 5 session programs, if you will, it's a lot of hours of work. I was figuring my 5 lesson or my 5 consultations, it's 5 hour and a half ish sessions. I mean, if things are going well and the client's learning a lot, I don't have a clock I'm going to punch and be like, oh, your 90 minutes is up. We're going to roll with it. I'm going to ride that wave. At the end of the day, if I'm putting in 7 or 8 hours of a lesson with a client working with their dog, can you imagine how much you would learn about your dog being with a trainer and studying body language? And then, as you see different happenings at home, different interactions, whether it's with kids or family or other dogs, whatever the setting may be, to me, I think it's going to be more beneficial to the owner to be a part of that and recognize, oh, this is what this means. This is what Ian said what this was, and this is what we should do to help the dog through it. Is it a slower process? Absolutely. But you go slow to go fast. And I think once our clients understand that and get a better handle on learning about their dog's body language, then man, I think the sky's the limit. And I'm excited about it. Jocelyn, so she just gets a little pushy with Martin sometimes, is barking a lot. She's older too, so it just could be her age, her patience. Okay, question. My husband says I overreact. You have 4 pitties and one is out on a tie out and a town person walks by with their dog. I get upset when they come in my yard to play with my dogs if I'm not outside. I don't mind socializing my dogs, but only if I'm there. But he says when I bring them back in immediately, that tells my dogs I don't want them to be social. I'm just overly cautious. I have 4 pitties and a town person walks by with their dog. I would get upset if I'm reading this correctly here, Susie. I would be very upset if this person walks into your yard with their dog to play with your dog. That is not cool. So if that's what you're trying to say here, I'm so not cool with that. I don't know whether you need a stay off my property kind of sign, but I don't think you're overreacting, because you don't know what that dog is like. And if you're not out there, how can you help and stick up for your dog? Yikes, that is not a fun situation to be in. No. That's your property. Yeah. I mean, and we could go really deep on this, but just because we're text and then voice, I don't want to go too deep into it at all, because there's a lot of other questions I kind of have. But no, people shouldn't be walking onto your property with their dog to meet your dogs. That's just a recipe for disaster, in my opinion, without a doubt. I'm guessing Mylea. have a 1-year-old Shih Tzu mix that goes crazy when he sees another dog, wants to play. So far it's been okay, but someday he's going to run into a dog that is not so receptive, and that scares me. Absolutely. I do keep him on a leash at all times and keep an eye out. But is there something I can do to make him calm down when meeting another dog? I'd really like to be more calm around other dogs. So to me, space is your best friend. You have to find that space. How far away is it to have your dog be okay and not reactive? So to me, your first goal is to find that magical threshold to where your dog does not react anymore. And that takes some work. Is it a football field away? Is it a quarter of a mile away? Is it 10 feet away? So that your first job is to figure out what's the distance where your dog no longer reacts. That's step one. And to me, there's no sense in going into step 2, step 3, step 4, because that's what I would want your focus to be. Just finding that magical threshold. That's all. Yes, this girl walks by all the time and says, "Oh, my dogs want to play with your dogs." Oh, hell no. No, no, no. That is not fun at all. Holy cow. Nope. No. Yeah, people have to stay off your property. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Malia, yeah, at least a football field. Yeah, I want you to go out and figure that out. Even if you have one of your friends go out in a field and plant themselves there, and then you can be there 10 minutes after they get there, and then figure out what's going on as far as your threshold is concerned, then that's where I would want you to be. Again, it's step 1. Look, if we do this every Monday, which I'm hoping to, if we do this every Monday, I am going to preach to you guys, and I hate the word preach, but I honestly want you to know where I'm coming from. This is just a part of, I guess, my transparency or whatever. I want you to know that my answers are not going to be quick fixes. It's not going to be to put an e-collar on your dog and zap them. It's not going to be to put a prong collar on your dog and yank on them. It's not going to be any of that. To me, this is about slowing down. And for those of you that have been on this page for a long time, you know, and I keep putting these posts up about slowing down, slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. And I'm going to keep talking about this because it is that important for all of us, myself included. I'm still finding myself going too fast these days, so I don't want you to think I'm pointing fingers. I put the video up of Gemma from this weekend, you know, going for a walk. Saturday morning, she did fine. Sunday morning, her brain was gone. And I actually had to catch myself about going too far too fast with her, of thinking I started thinking more destination over time. I had to slow down. So I'm going through this just as much as you guys are. It's all relative to, obviously I'm doing this as a career, but I want you to know that I'm going through the same thing that you guys are going through. It's all a part of it. It's all a part of what we do, and I think it's all a part of us as being dog owners as well. But it's slowing down. Hey, Heather. So I just want to ask, yeah, Sherry, one step at a time is what the dog will understand. I mean, look, you got to teach, and I just said this to a client the other day. Kids learn math, you know, and what do they learn? Addition first, because it's the easiest. Well, in my brain it is. And then subtraction, and then multiplication, and then division. Those are the 4, you know, main components for a kid to learn math. We don't go right to division. We can't go to division if we don't know what 2 plus 2 is. That's all there is to it. It has to be a step-by-step process, and it has to be introduced correctly, and then it has to be reinforced correctly. And the reinforcement time takes a long time. Learning what 2 plus 2 is. I mean, my son's, you know, learning it this year, a little bit of last year and this year in school. I mean, there's sometimes you can see him. He's got like his head in his hands. He's like, oh, what is it? I got to think about what is the answer. So you can call it stress. You can call it tiring. It's all a part of what goes on in a dog's brain when they start learning. either way, it burns energy in them. It burns fuel for them to sit back and go, okay, what is this human trying to teach me right now? What's happening here? Is he doing the same thing every time? Is he doing something different every time? It's all a part of that whole process. And, you know, to dogs, we want to be as fair as possible. And that's, look, that's a big part of this whole thing too, of slowing down, is being as fair, respectful, and as gentle as we possibly can. And it just takes some time. Unfortunately, it takes time. And if you're willing to put in the time, then you'll go fast. But if we look for quick fixes, then you look at having to do more work later on, because you have to unwind it. I mean, I remember one of my daughter's gymnastics coach saying, look, this is a move, and this is the right way to do the move. Do not go home and practice this move, because we can't watch you. And if you do it incorrectly, then we have to unteach that first and then teach you the move the right way. And it just is, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Sheila, I consistently walk the same walk in neighborhood. How do you know when it's okay to try a different route without pushing a dog out of their comfort zone? Sheila, that's a great question. And I think that's a part of reading your dog's body language to where they get uncomfortable. We have been using this term a lot called building your dog's map. And I have officially stolen it from one of my clients. He had said he wanted to do that with his dog. And building a dog's map has to do with creating a relaxed mindset within your house first before you even go over and grab the leash, and being able to take that mindset and get through the door, get down off the steps of the deck, down the driveway, out onto the road or sidewalk, wherever you're going. And to me, building the map means you are expanding your dog's horizons, because you are able to keep that relaxed state of mind wherever you go. So to me, if your dog is in the right state of mind, that is the right time to actually expose your dog to new things, is when they're in the right state of mind. If they come out of that state of mind, you can always go back to where you were. But to me, I don't want to expose a dog to anything new until I have a really comfortable state of mind. It's okay for them to be curious, but I don't want to create any, super scared, flighty kind of syndrome without that process. So, but Sheila, I think we're working together here too in the next week or so, right? I can't remember the exact date, but I can't wait to see your boy again. Hey, Sorrel, no question to ask, dropping in to say hi, and that we're excited for Evie to spend the weekend with you all. She's doing so well. Excited for you and the team to see your progress. That's great. That's awesome to hear, Sorrel. I'm so happy for you guys. It's been a long road, but you guys have put in the work, and that's what it takes. And sometimes the work, sometimes it's quick work, and sometimes it's not, and that's okay. That's certainly all a part of it. But anyways, all right, you guys. So look, I would love your feedback on the new podcast intro. If you haven't heard the podcast, just go to the podcast app on your phone and search Vermont Dog Trainer Show, or you can just look up on this Facebook page and just scroll up, and you will see, I think it was like 5 o'clock this morning was the post, and with the link. So click on that. The new podcast has a bunch of different quotes from some of the trainers that I have interviewed, and it's kind of a montage of a bunch of them put together, plus some new music. I think it came out really, really well. So I would really love your feedback with it, good or bad. I need to hear it, and let me know. So hopefully we can do this every Monday. Tell your friends, because I'd love to get a bunch of people on here and for us to chit chat a little bit and kind of hear your progress too. If you could pop in every Monday and let me know, hey, Ian, I really slowed down this past week and this is what happened. And I'd love to hear that kind of stuff. Plus this is great. California, Ohio, Maine, Vermont, people from all over. I mean, it's just so cool that we get to do that. Man, it's awesome. So for now, you guys have a great night. Slow down, and we'll see you next Monday.